Welcome to Edupedia.com. This is Somcha Janai, your online biology tutor. The chapter is evolution, and in this video we are going to discuss about the origin of life. The origin of life is considered a unique event in the history of universe. Before talking about the origin of life, we have to talk about the origin of universe. Then tell me, what is universe? The universe is all of time and space and it contains. The universe includes planets, stars, galaxies, the contents of intragalactic space, the smaller subatomic particles, and all matter and energy. Huge clusters of galaxies comprise the universe. Galaxies contain stars and clouds of gas and dust. Considering the size of universe, Earth is indeed a speck. The universe is very vast. The universe is very old, almost 20 billion years old. The Big Bang theory attempts to explain to us the origin of universe. A singular, huge explosion that is very unimaginable in physical terms. The universe expanded and hence the temperature came down. The hydrogen and helium formed sometime later. The gases condensed under gravitation and formed the galaxies of the present-day universe. Origin of Earth. In the solar system of the Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. There was no atmosphere on the early Earth. Water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide and ammonia released from molten Mars covered the surface of the Earth. The UV rays from the sun broke up water into hydrogen and oxygen, and the lighter hydrogen escaped. Oxygen combined with ammonia and methane to form water and carbon dioxide and others. The ozone layer was formed. As it cooled, the water vapor fell as rain to fill all the depressions and form oceans. Life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth, that is almost 4 billion years back. Origin of life. How life started in Earth. The origin of life on Earth is still a controversial mystery. According to geologists, life was present on the Earth about 3.9 billion years ago. However, the oldest microfossil discovered so far are that of photosynthetic cyanobacteria that appeared 3.3 to 3.5 billion years ago. There are many theories put forward to explain it. We are going to discuss the important theories in the video. The theory of special creation or divine creation. According to various mythologies, life was said to be created by Almighty God. According to Bible and Quran, the world was created by the God within 6 days. The first man was Adam and the first woman was Eve. According to Hindu mythology, the world was created by Lord Brahma. The first man was Manu and the first woman was Shraddha. This theory believes that all things have not undergone any significant changes since their creations. The theory of extraterrestrial origin. Early Greek thinkers thought units of life called spores were transferred to different planets, including Earth, and this theory is called the theory of panspermia. Panspermia began to assume a more scientific form through the proposals of John Jacob Restless, Hermann A. Richter, Kelvin, Hermann von Helmont, and finally reaching the levels of detailed hypothesis through the efforts of Swedish chemist Sven Arrhenius in 1903. The theory that life on the Earth originated from microorganisms or chemical precursors of life present in outer space, unable to initiate the life on reaching a suitable environment. This is the theory of extraterrestrial origin. The theory of spontaneous generation. For a long time, it was believed that the life came out of decaying and rotting matters like straw, mud, etc. This theory of spontaneous generation was called as theory of abiogenesis. In 1668, an Italian physician named Francesco Redi came up with a hypothesis to disprove the idea of spontaneous generation. Francesco Redi conducted an experiment to disprove the theory of spontaneous generation, and this is the pictorial representation of that experiment. It was believed at that time that maggots could come to life from meat. Redi observed that after meat sat out, flies would be attracted to it, and a few days after that maggots would appear. Redi thought that maggots were from fly eggs too small to be seen. So he set up an experiment with the control and variable groups to prove his hypothesis that flies produce maggots. In the experiment, the control group was a piece of meat in an uncovered jar. The variable group was a piece of meat in a jar covered with gauze. The gauze allowed air through, but not the flies. After a few days, Redi observed that the control group had maggots on the meat and the variable group did not. He then concluded that maggots only form when flies come in contact with the meat, and that spontaneous generation is not at a play. And he also sealed a jar and kept. In the sealed jar also there was no maggots. So by this he disproved the theory of spontaneous generation. But most of the scientists were not agreeing with this Redi's theory. The theory of biogenesis. The theory by Louis Pasteur in 1864 settled the argument about spontaneous generation once and for all. Louis Pasteur, by careful experimentation, demonstrated that life comes only from pre-existing life. He showed that in pre-sterilized flask, life did not come from killed yeast, while in another flask open to air, new living organisms arose from killed yeast. This is a pictorial representation of Louis Pasteur experiment. Louis Pasteur designed an experiment to test whether sterile nutrient broth could spontaneously generate microbial life. To do this, he set up two experiments. In both, Pasteur added nutrient broth to flask, bent the necks of the flask into S shapes, then boiled the broth to kill any existing microbes. After the broth had been sterilized, Pasteur broke off the swan necks from the flask in the experiment 2, exposing the nutrient broth within them to air from the above. The flask in the experiment 1 were left alone. Over time, dust particles from the air fell into the broken flask of the experiment 2. In the experiment 1, dust particles remained near the tip of the swan neck, but could not travel against the gravity into the flask, keeping the nutrient broth sterile. The broth is broken, flask quickly became cloudy, a sign that is termed as the microbial life. However, the broth in the unbroken flask remained clear. Without introduction of dust on which microbe can travel, no life arose. Thus, Louis Pasteur experiment refuted the notion of spontaneous generation. The theory of chemical evolution. It states that life originated in water through a series of chemical reactions millions of years ago. Apparin of Russia and Haldane of England proposed that the first form of life could have come from pre-existing non-living organic molecules, that is example RNA, protein, etc. And that formation of life was preceded by chemical evolution, that is formation of diverse organic molecules from inorganic constituents. The conditions on the earth were higher temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere containing methane, ammonia, etc. In 1953, Miller, an American scientist, cleared similar condition in the laboratory scale and proved the theory of chemical evolution. Miller and Urey in their experiment created a condition which was similar to that of the primitive earth. He created electric discharge in a closed flask containing methane, water, ammonia and water vapor at 800 degrees Celsius. He observed formation of amino acids. In similar experiment, others observed formation of sugars, nitrogen bases, pigments and fats. Analysis of meteorite content also revealed similar compound, indicating that the similar processes are occurring elsewhere in space. With this limited evidence, the first part of the Gangetti story, that is the chemical evolution, was more or less accepted. This is the diagrammatic representation of the Miller's experiment. In this picture, you can see that they boiled the water in the flask of the apparatus to produce water vapor. The gas chamber contained a mixture of hydrogen, methane, ammonia and water vapor. These were circulated over an electric spark produced from electrodes in the gas chamber. The electric spark stimulated the lightning of the primitive earth. The mixture was then cooled in a condenser and then again heated. They repeated the same process, like heating up and then cooling, for 1 week, and then examined the chemical composition of the liquid and found a large number of simple organic compounds, mainly amino acids in that. Thank you. In the next video, we will be discussing about the evolution and the evidences which prove the evolution.